Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to my Let's Play of Remember11, The Age of Infinity. Last time we were talking with Itsumi, asking some questions about things, and very likely making life or death breakfast decisions. Now, I know that one time I almost died. I was like, should I eat sausage and biscuit or bacon? I was like, bacon. Turns out that the sausage biscuits were mutants from outer space, and they went around eating people, so it's really random. So I do apologize for that. Um, but that's kind of the feeling that I got from that. Like I was making life or death decisions there. It's funny how this game does that. But anyway, let's get on with Uni and Keiko. I suppose I can say now. Still very weird. But one weird thing, and I think it's because of me having Windows 8. Maybe it's touchscreen. I don't know these techie type stuff. But one of the annoying things is when you move that right there. I didn't click nothing. But when I do that to save it after each episode, sometimes it skips on to the next line. So I don't really like that. Makes it just slightly inconsistent from end to beginning. Yeah, end to beginning. Beginning to end doesn't make any sense, but end to beginning, yeah. If you can get around the words make sense, but actually some of the words don't make sense. Anyway, we've heard this song before. Not sung by Keiko though. On my way to the terrace, the song reached my ears. Okay, this is kind of weird. We're seeing them in different clothes. I noticed it with Itsumi last time. She wasn't wearing her shawl thing. I didn't comment on it, but I did notice it. And Satoru was wearing a white shirt rather than his brown shirt, and it's really weird. Still, it makes me wonder. Again, if these guys are playing some crazy joke like, "Oh, it's Kokoro. Everybody go change your clothes real quick." And Keiko, shh, you're Hattori. Just to screw with them, screw with the minds. He answered cheerfully. Her white hands covered both of his eyes. Same with her. She's wearing a shirt with big buttons. Okay. She's answering to Hattori. What? Okay. She lowered her hands, exclaiming that in a delightful voice. He turned around and let out a cheer. Yeah. Get excited, kid. You guessed the only person that it could have been. Guess it could have been Itsumi. It was just the two of them that here, decided to play, which would normally be a pleasant sight. Did not appear that way to me. With just the two of them playing Kagami, it felt, how should I put it, eerie. Oh well, that aside, I had other things on my mind. Well, you know, even though it wasn't correct with Tori, it would kind of be an interest. I mean, be an experience to play a game like that, like with somebody with multiple personality disorder, because you could. Part of the game would be guess the personality that's got your eyes covered, and hope it ain't that one that, you know, did the thing to all the peoples. Yeah, that would not be somebody I'd want to have my eyes covered. Watching them from the corner of my eye, I made my way to the terrace. He had a white shirt on. So I opened the glass door and stepped outside. The weather showed no sign of improvement. The howling wind embraced my body as its chill pierced me to the bone.
Sammy!
Yeah. Can you not look out a window, guy? I dove back into the living area. Went back to my room to grab a coat, and after putting it on, returned to challenge the storm once more.
全然ダメだ。コート1枚ぐらいじゃ気休めにもならないか。
There's nothing else for it. I don't have anything to add as an extra layer. Gave up and plunged into the snowstorm. Where's he going? What's he doing? Shoved my hands deep into my coat pocket, stuck my head, and kept moving. It was just before noon. The sky was dark. It was an unsettling color, as though ink had been spilled across it. A biting cold wind, a myriad of snowflakes flying about before my eyes. I stopped, shivering, and managed to awkwardly turn my head. Beyond the whited out landscape, I could make out the excuse me, silhouette of the building. In the middle of it all was the clock tower soaring above the scenery below. Lifted my gaze upward.
あそこから落ちたのか。
Muttered through trembling lips. Why did it even come out here? I just wanted to check out the clock tower. Wasn't that it? Having listened to its story just before, my mind returned once again to the matter of my near drowning in the bathtub last night. Excuse me. I said before I shouldn't record after eating, but I do it. I continue to do it. Well, it's been about an hour and a half. Well, yeah, something. Yeah. Kokoro in my body had. Excuse me. Kokoro in my body had apparently taken some sleeping pills. If, for example, someone was out to kill me, and if that person knew about that, for him or maybe her, it would have been the perfect opportunity. Living things normally possess a conditioned flight reflex when in danger, but that was something I'd lacked at the time. Due to the effects of the medicine, I was stripped of my instinctive reflexes. If I wanted to kill somebody like that, how would I go about it? Making it seem like an accident would surely be best. If I were a killer, that's definitely what I would do. I'd carry the senseless body into the bathroom and plunge it into a bathtub filled with water. From there, all I'd have to do is stand and wait. And probably read the magazine that was tucked under the bed. If it seemed as though the body was about to float to the surface, I'd simply have to push the head back into the water. That would be that. No need to even dirty my hands, because technically you're washing them as you do it. Of course, it would increase my chances of success if I found the victim's wrist. That would leave marks that would make it obvious that it was a murder. So what's the need for any fuss? I don't know. Satoru is planning this out pretty well. He's like, if I were to murder somebody, let's make a charge. How would I do it? Okay, I need to carry out experiments. It's kind of freaking me out.
それじゃあどうして服を脱がせなかったんだ?
If you wanted to make it look like an accident, wouldn't it be a good idea to strip the victim first? Perhaps was it all done simply for pleasure? Just for the sake of seeing me drown? Now there was a line of thought I really didn't want to delve into, or rather, I felt there was something wrong with me for even having such a thought in the first place. I have no real grounds to suspect anyone anyway, so I'm just being paranoid now.
単なる事故だったのだろう.
Kokoro, having taken the sleeping pills and thus unsteady on her feet, tried perhaps to take a bath. There she slipped and fell. With her clothes on, ran into the bathtub, head first. Somehow that explanation seemed very believable. Then I suddenly thought of something. My fall from the clock tower. If it really been an accident, then that would mean I'd come within a hair's breadth of death twice in just 8 hours. Merely by chance. First I fell from a height of 15 meters. That is a pretty good height. That's, what, 45 feet? Then I nearly drowned in a bathtub while under the influence of sleeping pills. Can you really chalk all that up to chance? That's why I came out here to look at the clock tower. I was wondering why he was going out there. I might remember something if I could see it. But I recalled nothing. Far from remembering anything, I felt as if I were forgetting more and more. Because of this harsh cold, I couldn't get my head to work right.
しかし寒いな。
And yet I couldn't give up. Since I went to all the trouble of making my way out here, I decided I might as well explore the surrounding area. To the top of the hill to the west. Around the front gate to the north. Huh. Never been there. Hey, gate. Basketball court to the east. I still say that Satoru and Keiko should play basketball. That would be really funny. I visited several places before returning to my original spot. I looked at the clock tower from every possible angle. One thing kept bothering me.
この時計台ってどうやって登るんだ？
There were no stairs outside. Would it be safe to say that they had to be inside? They hadn't found a single entrance leading into the tower from the inside. The clock tower rose from the roof. There's nothing below it, just the excessively spacious living area.
俺は本当に時計台に登ったのか？
How would you go up there? Maybe if you climbed out the window, stood on the sill, or just stood on the sill. Maybe you could get your hands up there. Maybe he has a grappling hook. I don't know. Wait, what exactly was he asking? I was thinking about how he was going to get up there. Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. I figure there's an entrance there somehow. I mean, does it work? There's a question for you. Does this thing actually work? Or is it just there for show? I mean, because if it really works, then I mean, there would be maintenance ways to get into it to do maintenance stuffs. So I would say he didn't climb it. There's a way into it. I think that's what they're asking. I'm assuming if I say climbed it, I'm thinking like he actually like climbed it, not climbed the stairs inside of it that somehow are there. Now maybe he didn't climb it after all. Assuming he said I fell from the sky together with the lightning bolt. She never said anything about falling from the clock. Dang it! That's not what I thought he meant like scale it like from the outside. Whatever. I just arbitrarily imagined that. Yet if I had to fall from somewhere, that somewhere would surely have been the clock tower. So, right at that moment, Is it saying it's like... Oh, it did stop. What time was that? Was that 12? It seemed like a long time. That was like 13 or 14. 14 o'clock, guys. It's 14 o'clock. Well, maybe it's... what do they call the, military time? Seems like it has another... phrase for that. And like 14 hours or something like that. The hands pointed upward. I took my wristwatch out of my pocket right away. It's probably 12. Yeah, okay. The digital display showed the same time, 12. I was wondering if it was actually going to stop. That's what I was thinking. And didn't think to start counting at the 1. The clock tower told me the time with not a minute of deviation. Metallic sound that was like the coarse voice of an aged man alerted me to the hour at hand. Seemed like he said, well, I know it was near noon, but it seemed like he was talking about it was after noon. when he got out. The snow danced violently to the sound of the bell as the raging wind stirred it. The what I saw were twinkling and sparkling particles of light, an infinite number of angels dancing and rejoicing at the advent of the great gospel. In their instant, a vivid scene revived in my mind. On top of the clock tower, a shadow in the light. The shadow came up from behind me and stretched out toward my
誰
feet.
だ
Turned around, saying this as forcefully as I could. There was a faint shadow of a person in front of the door. However, the fierce wind and dancing snow prevented me from seeing who it was. Even the silhouette was impossible to make out through the thick white curtain of
誰なん
snow.
だ
It called out once again. The shadow gave no answer. It was slowly moving closer. Feelings of fear and distress began to grow inside me. I was backed up into a corner of the roof by the mysterious shadow as it slowly drew nearer and nearer. The shadow didn't stop. Lightning bolts glittered in the distance like flames. The well-honed blade struck the earth. Silhouette could be made out in the backlight. In an instant, I finally figured out what that shadow really... I saw it. Definitely saw its true form. Right, so I was up in the clock tower. Sound of the bell awoke the memory in me. Nevertheless, I couldn't recall the true form. Just saw it. I can't remember now. Nevertheless, I couldn't recall the true form of the shadow that the lightning had illuminated, as though it had been filtered out. That one essential bit of information alone was gone from my head, because that would be too dang convenient. I don't even know if it was a man, a woman, or a child. Or a polar bear. Could have been polar bear. Could have been Sasquatch. It could have been like those little trumpet players from Star Wars, you know. Do, 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 do. That would be a plot twist right there. Dun, 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 dun. Felt as if someone had intentionally severed the link to that memory.
くそ絶対に覚えてるはずなんだが
In my irritation and confusion, I violently kicked the snow at my feet. Meanwhile, the cold wind continued to mercilessly chip away at my core temperature. If I stood here pondering any longer, I'd be risking my life for the third time today. The cold wind was depriving me of common sense. No longer able to stand it, I decided to flee back into the building for now. I threw off my clothes and leapt into the bathroom. The warm water of the shower, which normally felt so nice, seemed to be burning through my skin. It takes time for a cold body to come to grips with such shock, but gradually the pain and irritation began to fade, carried away by the pleasant warmth. Soothed by the jets of water as they flowed over me, I began to think. Someone had pushed me off the top of the clock tower, or so it seemed. I had witnessed it myself, I'm sure. However, I couldn't seem to remember who it was, no matter how hard I tried. The reason why I had gone up to the clock tower was still a mystery too. There were plenty of things I didn't know. Moreover, most of the memories I could recall were limited to those made here in Spia. I was still clueless when it came to a shelter cabin and the transference phenomenon. It seems my tendency to focus on only one thing at a time was causing me to forget about others. But I don't suppose there's anything I can do about it. I had no other choice than to continue investigating, attempting to piece together the chaos of my thoughts in the meantime. However, I couldn't even be 100% sure of anything I thought I
全
knew.
ての謎はきっとどこかでつながっている
I'm assuming so. All of these extremely unnatural phenomena, occurring one after the other, it's tempting to believe that they all have a single point of origin. Well, anyway, this might imply that the probability of there being someone out to kill me was increasing. I still couldn't state that with confidence, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if that turned out to be the case. The clock tower and the bathtub, it was difficult to imagine that both of them were mere accidents. If they were accidents, then just who was that shadow I saw in the flash of lightning? What's the significance of the closing door I heard last night? Someone must be after me. I could end up dead a minute from now for all I knew. Turned off the water and stepped out of the bathroom. Having wiped myself off with a towel, I threw on my clothes. My mind had calmed down a little. After all, myself excluded, there were only 2 women and 1 child here at Spia at the moment. If one was the culprit, then there's no reason to be frightened. Objectively speaking, the difference in physical strength between us was obvious. My opponent could hardly be thinking of tackling me head on. If they wanted to strike, it would be at a time when my guard was down. For example, when I was asleep, after taking some strange medicine. Now, wait a second. Those wouldn't be their only options. I accepted it as fact that there were only 4 people in Sphere right now. This was something I mentioned before, and we know that there's at least a 5th guy who shows up, because there's a guy who's dead in the basement at one point. There was always a chance that a 5th person was hiding somewhere. I had the layout of Sphere memorized, except, for the part where the clock tower is. You don't know where that is. I don't think there are any places here where people could hide themselves like that except for the clock tower. However, my memory is far from perfect. I couldn't shake the feeling that I might have forgotten something like the clock tower. I said to have a look around Sphere later on. I'm joking, but that's the only place I can think of, unless they're cruising underneath the basketball court. Cruising? What? I don't know why that would be the term I would use there. But before that, there was something I had to do. I had to leave a message for Fuyukawa Kokoro. I didn't know when the next transfer would occur. I'd tell her everything important while I still could. I took up the felt tip pen I noticed before and walked over to the desk. Not really sure if I should say nice to meet you or thanks for visiting again. Welcome, thanks for visiting my body. Sounds mildly creepy. Especially if at the end of it he said, please come again. I doubt I've ever known anyone that I've had this much trouble coming up with a greeting for. I'm Yukino Satoru. I think you've already noticed it as well, but it looks like I'm currently experiencing some sort of personality exchange. I think you've noticed it before, but if you didn't, you've been a dude for a time or two, Might want to be more observant if you haven't noticed that. I don't know the exact reason for this. What I do know is that you're a woman named Fuyukawa Kokoro. First thing I want to clear up is about your body. How do I say this? I'll be careful not to touch or look at anything unless it's absolutely necessary. I don't know what your impression is of me from when you saw my face, but I am a gentleman. So please don't worry about that. Forgive me for jumping right into business, but I have a few things I must discuss with you. The first thing I want to do is make sure what's happening is really a personality exchange. From what I can tell, it seems that during the time of my consciousness leaves this body, your consciousness takes my place within it. Likewise, whenever your consciousness leaves your body, my consciousness takes possession of it, as if we're 2 drivers alternating between 2 different cars. But I don't have any conclusive evidence that this is what's happening. Right now, all I have to go on are the words of the people around me. Heard that at Sphere, my body addressed itself as Fuyukawa Kokoro while I wasn't around. It's a really strange thing. Yeah, I was told that I said I was Fuyukawa Kokoro when I wasn't around. And then at the shelter cabin, Yomogi-san told me the owner of the body was someone named Fuyukawa Kokoro. So if we were to believe what they said, then we have no choice but to accept that your consciousness and mine are coming and going between each other's bodies. But, even though I know Fuyukawa Kokoro's face and voice, I haven't had a chance to communicate with your actual personality. If we use cars as the analogy, then I am familiar with Fuyukawa Kokoro the car. But I have yet to meet you, the driver within. I won't beat around the bush. He's already said that. The point is, I have my doubts that this personality called Fuyukawa Kokoro really exists. So I was hoping you would leave some kind of evidence behind that proves you actually do exist, since we can't talk to each other directly. Can you at least write down some kind of a reply on the paper this note is written on? Anything will do. Just leave some evidence behind that Fuyukawa Kokoro personality controlling my body exists. Also, if you can, I'd like you to record the time. The time I'm interested in is the time you took over my body. From this we can determine whether the transfer or consciousness happens at a fixed schedule or if it's random. If we can figure out some kind of pattern to it, then wouldn't it be more convenient for both of us? You'd be able to realize when there's when there's one more minute until the transfer and finish up whatever we need to do by then. If it happens at random, well, we'll figure something out if and when that turns out to be the case. But realizing that the transfers are happening at random is a step forward, right? Ah, right. That reminds me, I forgot to write down something very important. Truth is, no, maybe my body would be more accurate. Truth is, my body is... under danger. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this. I guess in the next one we're going to find out what he does to the ceiling and what we don't want to know about it. That's an interesting scene title, Virgin Ceiling. Yeah, I don't know why they would name a chapter that. I am highly curious though. Yeah. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell there.